I
pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
A lot of different folks sitting up here, as you can see, and you know what? We have the perfect person sitting next to me who's going to take care of all those things. So at this time, I'd like to call on our town exec, Jim Cruiser. Jim, please.
Thank you, Virgil. Glad to be here today in the town of Paris. On April 7th, I saw many of you at the public hearing that was held at Highway 45 and 50 to discuss the Somers Town, Village, and Paris collaboration. That discussion and public hearing and action grew out of 8 years of frustration with the previous city administration that was not willing to work with Paris on a border agreement. Matter of fact, Virgil Gens called me just when I got elected in 2008 to try to get a meeting together. That was never fruitful. It was a non-starter, and that was then. Through that time, Somers also had difficulty getting water in a timely fashion. 6 months later, well, then there's a new election. 6 months later, John Antarani was elected. And the four parties have met numerous times. City of Kenosha, Town of Paris, Town of Somers, Village of Somers, and Kenosha County. And today we have a tentative agreement. And we're in concurrence with each other on the major tenets of what's going forward. Somers will get the water where they need it without onerous delays for private sector development. Somers will receive cooperation from the City of Kenosha and the water utility for future development. The city has room to grow for the next several generations. And Paris will get a permanent border agreement to retain their rural profile, along with revenue sharing from Somers in a development area defined with the Village of Somers. And all of Kenosha County will see a benefit. We'll see the benefit of maximizing economic development along these areas and the growth of our equalized value, which benefits everybody in our community. And I want to thank all the parties here who have had a very spirited at times and productive discourse through this discussion. To keep in mind that all parties are, our community is a winner when all parties are a winner. And they've kept that in mind. Sometimes it took some days to reflect back and how to come back and attack an issue, but we came together. So all the parties here worked with the best interest of our community in mind. And with that, I'd like to lead off with the village president of Somers, and hopefully we can put the maps up now of some of the, that goes along with some of these agreements and hand them out to the crowd. Please listen to all the information people have to say. I gave some general outlines of the skeleton, and I think some of the rest of these folks will talk about process and some of the details coming forth. So at this time, the clerk's handing out the maps, and maybe we can have the village president, George Stoner, president of Somers, Village of Somers, to add a few comments.
Thank you, Jim. I'd like to express my my great appreciation to Jim, who through this whole process moderated everything, brought us all together. As he expressed, there was times where it got a little bit heated, we were a little separated, but Jim, with all his political experience, brought us back to the table and brought us all together. I'd like to thank Ron Camersall from Paris. He was the main negotiator from Paris. Brought a lot of great ideas and helped us again bring this great challenge together. Again, I'd like to thank my good friend John Antarani, the mayor of the city of Kenosha. Congratulate him on becoming the mayor. And Ed St. Peters, who's the water manager for the city of Kenosha. It was tough negotiations, but as Jim has said, this is a monumental and historic development and agreement. It's going to bring huge development to not only the village, but to the city of Paris and to the county. And it gives us, the village of Somers, it gives us the water extensions that we need, that we can continue to develop and bring these TIF areas to fruition, which will, again, bring that tax dollar to everybody, not only the village of Somers, but also to the city of Kenosha through the school districts and Gateway, but also to Paris. We have we will be working on a revenue sharing on the side that we negotiated with the town of Paris, and that's going to be a great thing for Paris and for the village of Somers. So with all that, again, I want to say thank you to everybody sitting up here. Mark Molinaro, who helped out a lot. He's the chairman for the town of Somers. He was in the meetings, and that had a lot of good ideas. And if I forgot anybody, I apologize. But then I'll turn this over to
Ron Camersall.
Mr. Camersall.
Go ahead, Ron.
Thank you all for coming. I'd like to thank everyone at this table, the board, the village board of Somers, town of Somers, the Paris board. All of us worked very hard. The city of Kenosha, Kenosha Water Utility, worked in some cases many months, in other cases many weeks, to come up with an agreement which is historic because our boundaries in the town of Paris are now permanent. And those areas that are in the Somers growth area and the city growth area, for those folks, have 50 years before they have to go into respective communities. Whether it's the city of Kenosha or Somers, they have 50 years to remain in Paris, or until they so choose to be annexed to one of the entities. So I think that's a good deal. It's a statute we couldn't use before, but we can now. Water and sewer is a big issue. We've taken care of that. Lawsuits, by and large, will go away, which could have, if we didn't come to an agreement, carried on for quite some time. So, again, I want to thank the negotiators, George, the mayor, of course, Ed St. Peter, Carl Oldsby, Mark Molinaro, Bill Morris, and especially I want to thank Jim Kreuzer for bringing us together. Samantha Kirkman, who's helped us a great deal. When communities work together, great things can happen. And great things are going to happen because of what's been put together for all of us, everybody in this group. So thank you again. Appreciate everyone coming. Thank you so much.
Mayor John Train.
Yeah, very briefly. First off, thank you folks for coming, and everyone at the table negotiated in good faith to try to accomplish something that was difficult to do, and we were successful in doing it. And I appreciate the time and effort they put in. I think part of what has to be talked about, though, is not just when you look at the map, the areas where property will be coming into either the city or into the village of Somers, that the agreement is that it will be a 50-year time frame. People do not have to come in until they want to. At the end of 50 years, then the property would come in. But up until that point in time, there is no mandatory annexation of property into either the city or the village. It's your choice. And that was something that was very, very important to us, to make sure that people had a choice when they would come in and what the area of coming in would be. The city did provide sewer and water to the village in 2 locations on the other side of the divide, so that individuals would be able to get sewer and water for those who are in the Somers area versus the city's area. I wanted to make sure that people have that opportunity. So potential development can occur all along that corridor. at some point in time and in a rational way. So that became very, very important to us. The lawsuits pretty much go away between the city and the village. The ones that are specific to the town, the village, and the city that we are all involved in, those will go away. So those issues then become resolved. People will be able to do as they wish as time goes on. But there is a process here, and I think it's important for everyone here to understand the process. What we have agreed to today is a concept of what's going to happen. In the next 45 to 55 days, a resolution needs to be put forward by all the different governing bodies to define a little more in detail what this resolution is and put it into a resolution form so that it is governed by that resolution so that the people are protected as to how this is going to work. The next step is a boundary agreement, and that takes anywhere from 6 months to a year to put together. So the resolution will govern what goes on. The boundary agreement is the process that needs to happen to make sure that the states, the local units of government, the individuals all have input into what's going to occur and how it occurs. So that's a process that we will be following. So that's similar to what we did many years ago in the case of Somers and in the case of Bristol, where we created boundary arrangements so that people had input as to what's going on. So you will have input still into the process.
One or two. One, as you all know, residents in the town of Paris have heard it often, I think. By statute, it's called cities, villages, and towns for the town of Paris. We also know that our development is in such a way that there's only certain things that we can do without sewer and water. We have to have agreements. Yes, the town of Paris had to give up some land. Yes, we had to do that. Yes, we had to work with the town of Somers, the village of Somers, and of course the city of Kenosha. But you know what? It's going to be set in stone for a long time. And be up to your choice where you want to be, as was so aptly said. And it's always tough to give things away when you think you've had things for a long time. And Paris has had things for a long time. A land for a lot of money. Town of Paris, we're very fortunate. But we did realize, we have known for a long time, there's some things that we have to work on to protect the town of Paris into the future, and also to make the town of Paris equitable. And I want to thank Supervisor Munson for his year and time on the board here, and the meetings that he has attended with all of us, and chimed in. Kenny can chime in very well, and etc. and leadership. Thank you, Kenny. Ron, thank you. And I do think that it's been a long time coming, but at least now there's some security for everyone sitting in this room, and those who look at the big maps. We see some things that's going to be city. We see that it's going to be the village of Somers, and for the most part, it's by choice and a time frame. So, thank you, and thank you, Jim, for leading us. Thank you, Mr. Mayor, and Ron, and the rest of the folks. I'll turn it back to Jimmy. Jimmy, you have